Right, guys, I just totally messed up a message. Have you ever done that? This lady's like, it happens to the best of us. So, um, yeah, yeah. She's messaging me. I was talking to my boss, and he's like, I'm going to send you the schedule for next week. And then she told me she's going to send me the schedule for next week. And this is a lady who needs me to cover at the school. And so I assumed, because I had just talked to him, that it was him. And I was responding to him instead of her. So, funny thing. Anyways, budget, guys. Make sure that you find creative ways to make things work. So you're even better off to get an overdraft on your bank account than to get a credit card. It's like a $20 charge, and then you're done and over with it. You know, you paid it, and of course the amount goes up and down with what you can overdraft, but that is better than a credit card in my opinion. So anyways, I was talking to my boss, and I said thank you for the extra work, and he's like, we were talking, and he said you should get more money too, because you've been with us for a while. So I should have a raise. I said I'll talk to so and so about that. And then, I just came out straight with the boss, which I've never done this, and said, this is why I have been asking for more hours, because I have this and this and this. And then I've never done that with a boss before. I've never been so straight with, these are my needs, these are the hours I need, and this is why you're hearing me say, hey, want to give me some more hours? So, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And this guy's amazing. He's just like, it's going to be fun to work with you. Can't wait to get started next week. And, they couldn't do it this week, but he's like, can't wait to get started. And he's like, I got you. He's like, anything you need, any help you need, I'm going to give you more hours to help you. And that is what you want, guys, from a company. You want a company that is willing to look out for their employees, willing to make sure their employees have enough work. And, I think there is a time of testing. There is a time to be like, okay, you've been here a little while with us. You're doing a good job. And, we got through the communication. So, yeah. So I am going to be starting next week, and he's like, and you will have financial stability with this job. So, this is a commitment. This is a job that you are committed. It's not just a dead end job where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm in a bad mood. The boss is in a bad mood. You're done. Not that type of job. It is a lot of communication, which helps, because when he said I can't start this week, I was a bit offended because he gave his word to me, and then once he explained what was happening with people calling out sick and him having to do the extra coverage, he couldn't train me. Totally different picture. Totally different picture, right? So the communication always has to be there at jobs, in marriages, in any family relationship. You got to be able to talk, because people think differently. And just like this message I just got, this lady's like, I don't know what you mean. And I'm like, oh shoot, do I get the wrong person? Yep. So yeah, I'm busy. I get messages all day. I have messages to answer to all day. And so make sure that you have that communication in all relationships, and be willing to even ask more questions. Be willing to say, I'm not understanding this. Can you explain this better? I had talked to a lady the other day, and I said, can you say that in a different way? Because this is what I'm hearing. Can you put that differently? Because this isn't making sense to me. And so she's like, yeah. And she rephrased it, and it's like, okay, I get it now. I get what you're trying to say. That was at college. That was a question I had about, what was that? A voucher for a computer. So, yeah, so just communication is always going to be your key. Again, it doesn't mean you have to talk all the time. Sometimes if you're very close in a relationship, you can just, whatever, body language, leaving things, leaving notes. I used to leave notes for my husband, label stuff, just have the clarity. And when I talked to someone today, he was just like, da 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 da. And it was a very clear conversation. So, what was I going to say? Who had a process that stunk? Oh yeah, I was somewhere today, and their process of doing things was just so offensive. And I'll talk about that another time because I can't right now. But make sure you have your processes down, guys, in business, in wherever you are. There should be a process so people can understand things really well. So I talked to my SCORE mentor today, just a quick meeting, and he's like, Melissa, everything you're doing is great. You are doing stuff other people don't do for their business. So, that kind of encouragement is really good, and the communication is really good there. And, I said, this is my plan. I need to track my activity now more than a sales forecast. I'm like, I need to track how much I'm putting into my business right now. Because, I did do this and I did that, and I'm reading, I want to commit to reading a book. Same thing with food. I was at a gym yesterday at the college, and I said to this guy who was training, I said, I need to get my legs, more muscular. And he's like, well, riding an exercise bike isn't going to do it. And I'm like, I thought that is what you needed to strengthen your legs. And he's like, no, you want to do this. So he was showing me stuff to do, and he's like, people, they, it's really what they eat. He goes, in your case, you're not eating a lot, but what are you eating? And I said, this is what my usual meal is. And he's like, so this is what you want to do. And, there's not a lot of junk there except my soda. And he's like, people come in even in their 20s. He's like, are you 32? At least 32? I'm thinking, yeah, I'm at least 32. But he goes, even in their 20s. They come in, they got the big Starbucks coffee, they got all the sugar, all the cream. There's $1,500, just 1,500 calories, to start your day right there. He's like, and then they have their bag of chips, okay? And then by the end of the day, they are left hungry. And so they're eating now. They're eating their, dinner, and they're eating a lot. And so he's like, it's really, your exercise and your eating are like separate things. Separate them. And I'm like, that's cool, because, you think, okay, I can eat this, so I'll just exercise it off. And he's like, no, you don't want to do that. You want to build your muscle. So really good advice. Again, the communication was there. I'm like, how do I use this machine? And I was using it wrong. And he's like, this is how you want to use it. So the cool thing too is he held me accountable. He's like, okay, it's Monday today. I'll see you again this week, right? And I was thinking, well, I'm kind of busy this week. I don't know if I'll get to it. But because of his communication in that way, make sure you stay consistent, kind of thing, it just helped me say, yep, I got a plan, and I got to carve out another day to do my muscle work. So it's all in communication, guys. It really is. And and of course, some people, I've worked at a million jobs, it seems. Some people come across very harsh, but it's really the heart you want to look at. And the same in marriage, guys. There's a lot of miscommunication in marriages, and you want to be able to see the good in somebody despite whatever happens. You don't want to be like, okay, that person's just totally against me, I'm divorcing them. You want to be like, okay, I know this person. I've known her for ages, me and my husband. I know she means well. I know she's not an evil woman. And therefore, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. And when we went to counseling one day, this guy, Bruce, had said, this was a guy, Bruce, in New Hampshire at a church. He said, Ben, did you ever hear of this thing called grace? Do you ever hear about giving your wife some grace? So, yeah, giving people, grace and being like, okay, I'm not under the law. And this was a big issue with my husband's parents. They were under the law. If you don't do this just this way, you're getting condemned and you're getting shamed. Versus, no, there's another system. It's called grace. It's leave the hypocrisy. Don't you make mistakes? Don't you have problems? Are you not perfect? Okay, then don't treat me like that. And that is why we are called to love one another. And hopefully I don't have to keep on going on about the in-laws. Hopefully Kevin and, his girlfriend, they're not really worth it to me anymore. Ben's parents, they have no influence in my life anymore. They're his parents. They're not mine. There's no influence. And Ben really doesn't have much influence over me anymore. So I think I'm just going to take this in a direction that will be more about just basic marriage principles now, and yeah, talk about that more. So that's what I got, guys.